we have to talk about President Trump's entrance at the UN General Assembly. It's his first, but this, of course, at a meeting that many people have labeled the most tedious cocktail party in the world. Will he be able to navigate this institution successfully?
I think he is requesting reform. As far as I remember, and I remember far back quite a bit, the request for reform of the United Nations is practically a constant. There's also a question of looking at the costs. That's always a request. And we also have a Secretary General, Mr. Gutierrez, who is committed to reform, who understands the need for reform, who was himself a leader and therefore understands the role of the United Nations, the importance of the United Nations. Those of us who've been, in my case, foreign minister, very familiar with the United Nations and its workings, and now as head of the OECD for more than 11 years, we understand. We all work with, but also for the United Nations. So we understand the importance of having a United Nations that is functional. And yes, of course, reform is always a necessity. Institutions always need to be improving on their functionality and ideally reducing their costs. But I'm sure that is being considered.
When we talk about reforms, we also have to talk about tax reforms, and this is one thing that the OECD has been working with, and you've just published an annual research on the tax reforms carried out throughout OECD countries. And now this is based on 2016 reforms implemented, so it wouldn't really apply to President Trump's presidency. But given what you've seen from the U.S., where does the U.S. stand as
Well, it wouldn't apply to the U.S. anyway, even if it were today, because nothing has happened in the U.S. There's been discussions, there have been statements, there have been comments, and Secretary Mnuchin said that in the next few weeks, that was a few weeks ago, they would give out the details of the proposed tax reform. So we are expecting, but the market has reacted very positively so far, and it's been doing that for a few months now, and that is, well, if you put together the elements and you say reduction in the rates, I mean, we at the OECD have been saying the United States has to reduce its tax rates. They are the highest in the world now for corporate income taxes, and reduce both the personal income tax and also the Social Security contributions. And if you want to be tax neutral, maybe you look at the property taxes, you look at, and here you don't have a VAT, which makes it a little bit more complicated. Therefore, you tend to have higher both corporate as well as personal income taxes.